Your reputation is the only asset you cannot afford to lose. You can get everything else back. You can lose money, houses, but you can't lose your reputation. And that starts with kids doing what they say they're going to do and doing the right thing even when nobody's watching.
Smart Money Parenting.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Smart Money Parenting Show. This is Chad here with my buddy Scott. Scott, how you doing today?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Life is beautiful.
I got to start with a crazy story. I was headed into a business appointment at a restaurant for lunch last week. And as I was walking into the restaurant, I heard a loud crash, metal glass. I heard a really loud crash in the parking lot. And I turned around and I saw a car, a four-door, crashed into the front of a truck that was parked. The truck was parked. And I thought, man, there's no way, like, how are they going so fast? And how did they not see that parked truck? Like, it was literally in the parking lot where it's supposed to be. And so they backed up the car that crashed into the truck. They backed up and they parked and they got out. And so I was like, okay, they're going to go look at the truck, assess the dent and the damage, and leave a note. So they walk over and I see them kind of touching the front right side of the truck, and it was smashed pretty bad. In fact, it looked like a new truck, black on black, very well kept, very clean. They looked at it, they kind of touched the dents, and they had their little Starbucks cups, whatever. They were probably in their low to mid 20s, two girls, and they started laughing. And they walked away. They literally walked away and they walked, and I was the only one in the parking lot that witnessed it. And I watched them walk into this like eyelash place. And I just sat there just shocked. And I was like, what in the world? They just literally, it wasn't like a little scratch or like, they smashed the car, looked at it, laughed, and like made jokes together and walked off, did nothing. And I sat there, I'm like, I can't let that happen. Like I need to do something, but I'm going to be late for my lunch meeting if I do something. And then I was like, I have to do something. So I walked back out and I thought they're probably watching me through the glass over there. I don't know if they were, they weren't, but I walked back. I took pictures of the truck and the dents. I took pictures of their car and their license plate. And then I wrote a note and left it on the truck door handle. I was concerned they were going to come out and remove the note. That's just what I thought. So I'm like, these are low character people, obviously, right? So 45 minutes later, the truck owner calls me and he says, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for leaving this note. Did you get any pictures? And I said, yes, I did. I said, here's pictures of their car. Here's your truck. This is what I saw happen.
Yep.
And he says, but that car is still parked here. It's still parked. And I said, well, then they're in the eyelash place if you want to go talk to them and confront them. And he said, all right. And he hung up. And then I texted him, I said, I really hope they get held accountable. I want to hear how this story ends. So he goes in, apparently he called me back later, and he goes into the last shop and he says, hey, does anyone own a gray Sonata? And a girl laying back getting her eyelashes done says, yes, I do. And he says, okay, well, unfortunately for you, a really nice gentleman saw you crash into my truck and left a note and contacted me to come find you guys. And she says, well, I thought it was just tire on tire, so there was no damage or scratches. Total lie. I mean, this is like reconstructive body work on the truck, right? It's ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, man.
She straight up lied to him. And he says, well, I'm going to need your license and insurance and all that stuff. And so she eventually gave it to him. And he called me back and he just said, thank you so much. And I said, hey, man, I said, I'm glad I was there. I hope someone would do the same thing for me or for my kid. He said it was his son's brand new truck.
Wow.
Just crazy to me. And I thought to myself as I drove home after that lunch, like, who are the people that literally would not only do something bad like that, and then laugh about it and then take no accountability for it? Like, I want to make sure. I went home and directly told my wife and kids, and I said, guys, when you make mistakes, you have to take accountability. And it doesn't matter if you think no one's watching. Like, you become less of a person, you become weak if you don't take accountability when no one's watching. That's what integrity is.
Yes.
So anyways, that's my story. I can't believe it happened, but it's pretty wild.
Our world is desperate for integrity. I think so often people can just get away with cutting corners and they think no one's watching, but your future self is watching. This is what we have to teach our kids. Like, and the world is desperate for it. You have to raise your kids to do the right thing, especially when no one is watching, because that is going to make them so much more high character, high value creators in the world, like successful in the world. How many times have you and I been by ourselves doing something at work or working out or doing something, and we just sit here and we go, no, I'm not the guy that mails it in.
Right.
No, I'm not the guy that's going to cut this. I would look at myself differently if I did it this way instead of that way. You have to have this self accountability to be able to be a shining light in the world. And so, how do we get kids to think this way? We've seen so many stories of little kids who they think they're getting away with something. All of a sudden they're holding the bag and you're like, the other kid's crying. They're like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go look at the security cameras. And they're like, I did it.
Yeah. I would say self-confidence comes from showing and demonstrating integrity when no one's watching. Like, one thing, I was dropping my kids off the basketball camp this morning, and I said, hey, when you guys are running or sprinting or doing anything, I said, one thing that my first coach always taught me was touch all the lines.
Yes.
Touch all the lines. When we do sprints in basketball, like, our high school coach was tough. But if someone didn't touch all the lines and they tried to stop short on the sprints, oh man, we were going to be running for hours. We were going to be running till someone's puking their brains out. Like, he was so firm on touch all the lines. And so I think that's critical. You might think, well, the coach is over there, he doesn't see it. If I stop short, then I don't have to run as far. But in your head, like, you didn't touch all the lines, and that's going to make you weak.
Yep. I remember a story you just jogged my memory of. 14 years old, Babe Ruth Summer League Baseball. One of the kids stole another kid's hamburger in the dugout. Boy. And the coach heard about it. And I knew who it was. And after the game, everyone had to go for sprints on the left field line. And the coach was like, we're running until the person who did this fesses up.
Oh, wow.
And we start going. And I'm not talking like a while. I'm talking like 20 minutes of sprints.
Oh, man.
Like, just 90-foot sprints. Guys are keeling over. Like we're just dying. And like, half of us knew who it was. And it was this weird combo of like, do I snitch or do I let the guy have character?
Right.
And fess up and take responsibility and learn the lesson. So after 20 minutes of sprints, I go, it was me. I did it. And everybody stopped. And the coach said, all right, everybody can go. Except for Scott. Everybody goes, packs up their stuff. And I'm sitting out there with the coach. And he goes, I'm going to make you do 10 more sprints. But I know you didn't.
No. He said that.
You're going to do these sprints. You're going to hold your head high because you're the leader of this team. I know you didn't do it. And I ran the sprints and I immediately had zero. I wasn't tired anymore. I was like, this is character. This is how you build it. So I not only did I cover the other kid who did it, he ended up fessing up later.
Really?
And then and that grew him. But it also told the team, like, what does it mean to like love others and like lead, Be
a leader. Yeah, be a leader.
And that, like, my whole life, like, this, Chad, our whole lives have been built on integrity. I was taught this in grad school, like this 1-year entrepreneurial program. Your reputation is the only asset you cannot afford to lose. Yep. You cannot get it back. You can get everything else back. You can lose money, houses, you can lose anything, but you can't lose your reputation. And that starts with kids doing what they say they're going to do and doing the right thing, even when nobody's watching. We have to, you know what I'm talking about. The reason why you and I are still married decades in is because we do the right thing in private We keep ourselves accountable. We keep ourselves in the right. We keep ourselves pure. You have to have this as a kid to build it into an adult. That's why it's so critical, parents that are listening to this. Do whatever you can to have the conversations with your kids.
My wife was just grocery shopping with the kids, and something was in the cart that my youngest put in the cart. I don't remember what it was, but it was less than $1.50. And when they got to the cart and unloaded the groceries, my wife was like, "Hey, did you just put this in the cart?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, check the receipts," and they didn't charge me for it. So they all walked back in with the two kids. He thought that they paid for it, but he put it in the cart as the cart was on the side. So it wasn't like he was trying to steal it. But she's like, "No, we didn't pay for it because it's not on the receipt. The lady didn't see it." So they went back, got in line, told the lady, "Hey, we got to pay for this. It's like $1.25. And the lady was like, "What?" The cashier was so confused and almost annoyed that my wife, Amber, went back to return this little thing and pay for it. It was like almost a bother. I thought it would be like, "Wow, that's really impressive. Like, way to teach your kids and come back." And it's instead the lady seemed like annoyed, like, "Give me a break," you know. But it's those little things that kids can witness if you're honest in private, if you show integrity when you don't have to. You know, kids will pick up on that. Like we've said it many times before, Scott, more is caught than taught. So kids will observe us and say, "Hey, are we doing what we say? Are we being true to ourselves and having honesty and integrity in our lives when no one's watching?"
Yep.
And I just think back to those girls who hit that truck, and I thought, man, for two of them together to basically both laugh it off and walk away, it made me really bummed out, to be honest. It was kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah. And you and I have seen many times employees doing things that's like, wow, I can't believe that would happen. Can't believe
Right.
who raised them, like
Yep.
you see this in business all the time. We're seeing random fraud things and people mailing it in and not doing what they said they would do and cutting corners. And it's so important for your future self. Like if you're stuck in something and you want to talk to your kids about this, it's like, all right, guys, here's the deal. If you do the right thing in private when no one's watching, you're going to build yourself into that person that you want to be. You're going to become the dream self that you want to be in the future. So picture yourself at age 60, 70. I had this crazy circumstance when my first job out of college, I rose to become like the top salesperson in this company really, really fast. And then I brought in a client that was like $1 million client. And one of the bosses took me in. And the guy had like pointy ears and he looked like a rat. He was bald. He smoked like 2 packs a day. Anyway, pulled me into an office. He goes, "Today you're going to make 250 grand. And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yep. All you got to do is have that person sign an NDA. We know how to do the deal where we're going to like mess with all these things. All you got to do is have him sign this and we'll go spend like the marketing assets and everything in these ways." And I went, like, I'm sitting there shocked. Wow. And I was like, I need a minute. And as a 23-year-old, 250 grand is a lot of money for anybody, but especially a 23-year-old. I was like, I need a minute. I literally walked out in the hallway and I went, 70-year-old me would whoop me right now.
Yeah.
For even considering this. And I walked back in and I quit on the spot.
Wow.
And I called that client and said, "Here's what they're planning to do to you. Don't do it."
Wow.
And like, yep, lost my job. Gone. And so, but guess what? It led to 1,000x greater opportunity. And it built me into the man I am today, right? If I'd have stayed there in that job, I'd never be where I am. Nowhere close.
You get rewarded in public for the great decisions you make in private.
That's it. That's right. That's what reputation means. So let's teach our kids to do the right thing, especially when nobody's watching. And that's how we can build trust. And this is a great conversation we've had at Apex with millions of kids, right? The school fundraising company. We say, hey, who here wants their parents, like who wants to be a little bit more independent? Who wants the trust of mom and dad? Who wants to be able to have that freedom to, have a little bit later curfew, or that freedom to be able to like buy the things you want to buy or do some more things with your friends? Everybody's hands go up. Say, all right, here's the secret. Trust. The secret is trust. If you can build trust and be personally responsible, your parents want to give you more freedom. They want to give you that because you've earned it. And that comes from doing the right thing in private when nobody's watching. So it's the secret sauce for a kid to earn that freedom. And so that's a great conversation you can have with your kids, is like, once you're showing us that you're doing these things on your own and you're self-motivated to do them, you're doing the right thing when no one's watching, we can trust you to do a lot more stuff. You can have a lot more freedom in our home.
Quote by Harvey Mackay: if you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. I mean, that says it all right there. I love that quote.
That's it, man.
You know, the greatness of a man is not how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. So integrity, if you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. So your kids, you want them to be smart with money, you want them to be successful and do all these great things in life. That's wonderful. Do it with integrity, because without integrity, nothing else matters.
Not to mention, it's how you sleep well at night. So
absolutely,
this is a great thing for the listeners. You know, a lot of families are listening to this show driving to school and back. They're listening to it while working out. They're listening to it as a family. But, you know, if you're a parent listening to this right now, it's a great time to do a self-assessment. Where am I in private? Where am I cutting corners? What did I do recently that I can make right? Where am I cutting corners with my health? Where am I cutting corners with business? Where am I cutting corners with my spouse? And this is a great time for you to practice integrity, because guess what? More is caught than taught. So, all right, that's enough. I think you guys get the point. We're big on this with our families. This is probably the pillar of smart money parenting, getting your kids to leave your nest, having integrity, doing the right thing when no one else is watching. Because guess what? The moment they turn 18 and they're out of the home, no one will be watching. You're not watching them anymore. You want them to be full of integrity. So that's what we got for you guys today. Thanks for watching and listening and viewing and subscribing. We've had a blast doing this show, by the way.
It's
I don't know
been fun. A lot of fun.
Really fun. And it's a good way for our friendship to grow more and more, but it's really more important for us to just like help our families. You know, we're not just saying these things to you. We're researching them and trying to live them out. So we're practitioners. We're not just like coaches and like consultants. We're literally doing this with half a dozen kids. So yeah, man, thanks to you guys for listening. If you want to leave us a question, go to smartmoneyparenting.com. Again, if you want to get Gravy Stack, the sponsor of our show, you go to gravystack.com/smart for Smart Money Parenting, and you can sign up right now and get your kids on the path to financial freedom and happiness. So thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Takes more than money if you want to succeed. You gotta know what to do with it. You gotta take the lead. You gotta give them confidence. You gotta make them smart. If your kids are gonna thrive, now's the time to start. Smart money parenting.